Hello everyone, and this is my review for WWE Friday Night Smackdown on March 29th, 2013. And just right off the get-go, I'm going to go off and say that this week's Smackdown was not all that great. It had a mixture of what I would consider bad and good, in a sense of, you had a couple really good segments in there, but you have more not really all that good or kind of just time filler than any sense of the word for actual storyline progression. One area that I do find that I did find a little bit to be a little bit disappointing was the actual Rock segment in general, albeit an entertaining story. But again, this is an area of where Rock was more or less just out there for the sake of being out there. One of those deals where he's just out there cutting some random promo, really has no purpose with the storyline whatsoever, outside of a few mentions with his match with John Cena. But you had the story time beforehand. Again, fun story, but it serves no purpose. Honestly, it wasted time. It wasted about 11 minutes of time. They actually went into the commercial break with Johnny Ace coming out there, which eventually led to the People's Elbow on John Laurinaitis. So honestly, the segment in general did not serve a purpose for anything of building the storyline with him and John Cena. Honestly, it was just a big waste of time in my own personal opinion. Another area that's still somewhat disappointing to me is, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again here, the Chris Jericho Fandango storyline. Now, granted, Chris Jericho's doing a good job with what he's got. I don't really see the point of having Fandango here in here going into WrestleMania with a match with Chris Jericho. This in my mind just it feels like it's a waste of using Chris Jericho at this point. But he's doing his best with what they have. Both of them are really doing their best with what they've got. But it's not really clicking with me. I'm not really getting behind this storyline in any way, shape, or form. Now, granted, the match Chris Jericho had with Wade Barrett was actually a fun and entertaining match. Great match to watch on TV here. But the whole Fandango storyline with Chris Jericho, and this week they just had Fandango come out and actually just it looks like he's going to come into the ring and then he walks away moment. So it really didn't really do anything in any way, shape, or form. Also, at least another good point to that area. At least they announced that Miz and Wade Barrett are going to go together in the Intercontinental title match. It's good to see that they'll have that match. They've been feuding relatively a lot over the last few weeks, so it's good to see that they're officially making that match for WrestleMania, and we'll see how they can progress the storyline even further with Monday and next Friday as well. Now, for the most part, those were the main disappointments. I mean, another disappointment would be just having a Great Khali match in general. But having it with Jack Swagger, I've never seen anybody really carry a good match with Great Khali. Swagger did his best in this sense. I liked the fact of how he showed his intensity in the match, and eventually just leading to him putting in the ankle lock and actually, just causing a double count, but not letting go of the ankle lock there, looking at the initial attack of Hornswoggle, but getting interrupted by Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez. And honestly, in this sense, it was kind of a repeat from Monday, where Alberto Del Rio got the advantage over Jack Swagger in this sense. So it really didn't do anything again this week. Where it did some more for the storyline on Monday, where it showed Alberto Del Rio's intensity, it really didn't do anything more than maybe show that again. So it really didn't do anything in this sense. Now, there were a couple segments of the show that I actually did like. And the first one would probably be the Ryback and Mark Henry segment. Oddly enough, I don't like the whole arm wrestling challenges, in this case, bench pressing contest. But, you know, with the way that they did it, they didn't waste too much time. It didn't really take too much time on TV. Both of them, you know, did their thing with the lifting the weights. And I actually like the finish because you had that no contact clause on there, but yet Mark Henry comes up with a way to inflict damage towards Ryback without actually touching him in any way, shape, or form. So I liked where they actually went with that. It was something different that they went with this storyline, and it actually came off quite well, just in my own personal opinion. And the other area that I actually did like, which was the Sheamus Randy Orton Big Show. You had their little you had their promo in the back, and then of course beforehand you had the Shields promo, which they delivered again, a really good promo with about the match at WrestleMania. And then of course you had Orton, Sheamus, and Big Show's promo. And honestly, you get that feeling and vibe that one of them is going to turn on the other two at WrestleMania. General conception would think it would either be Sheamus or Big Show, where Sheamus would actually be turning heel because he never trusted Big Show, something like that, and just, you know, decides to go off on Big Show in this sense, which would probably make Big Show face at that time, or essentially a face turn for him. But in my own personal thoughts, the way that they've been, you know, putting Randy Orton over with this team, him being like the voice of reason and all that aspect, that, you know, the person who gets the team together, it's making me think that Orton's going to be the actual person who turns on the other two at WrestleMania. And of course, I could be completely wrong. They could actually just you know, keep them all together during the WrestleMania match, and they could either just lose cleanly or even win the match in that sense. But all in all, I felt that the promo delivery was really good. And then the match, with the six-man tag match with Sheamus, Orton, Show versus Damian Sandow, Cody Rhodes, and Antonio Cesaro. You had six really good workers in the ring there, and they delivered a really good match at the end of the night. So that was really good in that aspect. Also, I liked the aspect that you had Shield coming out, and they were going to confront all three of them. And instead of actually waiting for them to come through the crowd, Sheamus, Orton, and Show actually go into the crowd and go after the Shield and chase them away before they can even get to the ring. That was a nice little touch, a nice little area of difference that they've not used yet in some way, shape, or form. And it came off really well in my mind in that aspect. But for the most part, like I said, I was thoroughly disappointed with this week's SmackDown, mainly about the first hour, with the exception of Ryback and Mark Henry. I just didn't, and of course also the Wade Barrett and Chris Jericho match as well. A lot of the show just didn't come off as any good in my mind, and I said this about Raw as well. It kind of felt like they were copying and pasting a lot of the stuff to make it seem like they're furthering storylines, but they really aren't in this sense. So hopefully with Raw and SmackDown next week, it's the last ones before WrestleMania, they'll actually get something going. Maybe, not necessarily change up the storylines a little bit, but come up with something different for all the major storylines, or even some of the minor storylines in there. And hopefully everything will come off really good in the end going into WrestleMania. But this week with SmackDown, I didn't really think it was all that good outside of the areas that I did talk about that I actually did enjoy. But for the most part, I did not enjoy SmackDown this week. So this is my review. That was my review for Friday Night SmackDown. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.